strength. And we're picking back up where we left off with Poor Things by 𝔼ℝ𝕆𝕏𝕐. While I waited, some very queer ideas entered my head. Could 𝔼ℝ𝕆𝕆 have so corrupted her that on being called in I would see her naked? The notion made me tremble with an agony of conflicting feelings. But as the moments passed, I was tormented by another and even worse suspicion. Most big houses have narrow back stairs for servants. Had Bella crept down these, was she even now walking briskly towards Charing Cross, where she would take a cab to 𝔼ℝ𝕆𝕆's rooms? This image of her came so clear to my mind that I was about to open the door when it swung inward, and I knew she must be standing behind it. The room before me was so empty of visible life, I heard her say, "Step inside and shut your eyes." I stepped inside, but did not shut my eyes at once. This was indeed old Sir Colin's operating theatre, built to his specifications, when the circus had been built in the days of the Crystal Palace. The furnishings were few and gaunt, but bathed in warm evening sunlight. This flooded in from tall windows, and from a ceiling which seemed to be 4 skylights sloping up to a reflector in the center, a reflector casting a pool of greater brightness on the operating table beneath. I saw benches with what looked like barred hutches and kennels on them, and noticed a whiff of animal and the hospital smell. I heard the door click shut behind me, felt Bella breathing on the nape of my neck. Suddenly certain she was naked, I half closed my eyes and began trembling. From behind, she slid an arm across my chest, and with relief I saw it clothed with the sleeve of her traveling coat. She pressed me back against her body, and I relaxed there, noticing briefly that the chemical odor of the place was unusually strong. I felt as much as heard her murmur in my ear, "Belle will let nobody hurt her, we candle." She put her hand over my mouth and nose, and when I tried to breathe, I became unconscious. And we have a little treat. There is a picture that looks like a locket. I think it's a locket. Chapter 10, Without Bella. I heard the faint, steady hissing of a gas chandelier. I had a headache, but did not open my eyes because light would hurt them. I knew something horrible had happened, that something essential was taken from me, but I did not want to think of it. Nearby, someone sighed and whispered, "Evil. I am evil." Bella came to mind. I sat up and a blanket slipped from me. I was sitting, had been lying, on the sofa in Baxter's study. I was coatless, my waistcoat unbuttoned, my collar and shoes removed. The sofa was a massive mahogany article upholstered in black horsehair. Baxter sat gloomily, watching me at the other end of it. Through the windows, whose curtains were not drawn, I saw a big half moon in a clear night sky, a sky so full of deep blue light that it was starless. I said, "Time? Well after 2. 𝔼ℝ eloped." After a moment, I asked how he had found me. He handed over a sheaf of pages scrawled with Bella's huge shorthand. I gave them back, saying my head ached too much to decipher anything. He read them aloud. "Dear God, I have chloroformed candle in the operating theater. Ask him to live with you when he wakes up. Then you can both talk often about yours faithfully, dearly beloved, Belle Baxter. P.S. I will telegraph to say where I am when I get there." I wept. Baxter said, "Come down to the kitchen and eat something." Downstairs, I sat with my elbows on the kitchen table while Baxter foraged in the larder, then placed before me a jug of milk, mug, plate, knife, loaf, cheese, pickles, and the cold remains of a roast fowl. He handled the last with a distaste he tried and failed to hide, for he was vegetarian and only got in meat for his servants. While I tackled the food, he slowly drank nearly a gallon of the gray syrup, which was the main part of his diet, ladling it into a tankard from a glass carboy of the sort used to transport industrial acid. Once, when he left the room to satisfy a call of nature, I sipped a little out of curiosity and found it as briny as seawater. We sat till dawn in a melancholy silence, broken by bursts of talk. I asked him where Bella learned to use chloroform. He said, "When we returned from abroad, I knew she would need more than toys to keep her occupied. So I started a small veterinary clinic. I put word about that sick animals brought to our back door would be treated free of charge. Bella was my receptionist and assistant, and a fine clinician in both capacities." Excuse me. She liked meeting strangers and mending animals. I taught her how to stitch wounds, and she did so with the deft, passionate steadiness working-class women bring to sewing shirts, and middle-class women to frivolous embroidery. Many lives and limbs have been lost, McCandless, by excluding women from the more intricate medical arts. I felt too sick and tired to argue that point. A while after this, I asked why he had suddenly made a will the day after Bella and I got engaged. He said, "To provide for her after my death. You won't get rich for years, McCandless, however hard you work." I accused him of planning to kill himself after our marriage. He shrugged and said he would have nothing to live for after it. So we'll leave off for this chapter, and I'll see you in the next part. Thank you very much for watching.